Hey there, this is James Wilson with BJJ Strength Training Systems, and today I'm going to show you how I would combine some different elements that I've talked about on my podcast recently into a workout. So I spent some time talking about things like isometrics, steel mace training, and breath work, specifically CO2 tolerance training. And these are usually new concepts to people, and so knowing exactly how you would put them into a workout is something that you may not necessarily know how to do. And so what I'm going to do is show you an example of how I would put these things together into a workout to include all the elements that I think are important for a BJJ specific workout, which are tension skills, movement skills, and metabolic skills. Again, metabolic skills is like your cardio, your ability to supply energy for what you're doing and keep it going. And so the tension skills we're going to work on through isometrics. The movement skills, we're going to use a steel mace. You can use other tools. I'll talk about that when we get to that point. We're going to look at a steel mace because I like that as a leverage-based training tool, which is, again, a more specific tension skill for us to practice with our movement skill. And then finally, we're going to take a look at a CO2 tolerance workout to work on our metabolic skill, the cardio side of it. So starting out with the isometrics. Now, I would recommend some sort of warm-up. That's kind of beyond the scope of this video here, but I would assume you're doing some sort of warm-up to get yourself ready to work out, and then we're getting into the workout part. So first thing I would work on is the tension skills with isometrics. And so we're going to look at 5 exercises covering the major movement patterns, plus one that's important for us is on the mats doing jiu-jitsu. And we're going to do 2 different types of isometrics. So the first one is going to be a timed hold. And so we're going to get into a position and we're just going to hold it for 30 to 90 seconds. So this first one is going to be a push-up hold. And so for the push-up hold, just like it sounds, you're going to get into a push-up position. Now, if you need to, you can stay at the top, okay, this high plank position. But if you can come all the way down to the bottom and hold this bottom position and trying to hold that position there for 30 to 90 seconds. So that's our first exercise. Our next exercise, we're going to use a jiu-jitsu belt. Again, I recommend investing in like an A4 training belt. It's long enough for you to use. Personally, I wear like an A2 belt, so my usual jiu-jitsu belt's a little short for a couple exercises, but you can use your own jiu-jitsu belt to start out with. You don't have to have a training belt, but that's what I have here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get set up in a position, and we're going to do something called ramping isometrics. And so we're going to get set in a row position. I got the belt wrapped around my feet. I'm holding on to it. You can wrap your hands if you want to, that's fine. And then what I'm going to do is think about driving my elbows behind me. And so I'm trying to apply tension into the belt by driving my elbows behind me and doing a row. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this for a minute, but I'm going to ramp up my tension over the course of that minute. So I'm going to start out with 30 seconds at 50% effort. So it should be easy. So you want to use nose breathing, so in through the nose, out through the nose. Right, nice and easy. And then after 30 seconds, you're going to do 20 seconds of 80%. So you'll have a timer set for 30, and then you want something set up with different interval lengths. So the first one will be 30 seconds, and then you'll go directly into the next one for 20 seconds where you ramp the tension up to 75, 80%. It's starting to get hard, but it's not our max effort yet. And then finally, we're going to do 10 seconds at max effort, 100%, trying to break the belt. And again, maintaining good breathing and posture. You don't want to start out like this, and then as you get to 100, start letting all this crazy stuff happening. The whole thing is everything, your breathing drives it, right? Start out with nose only breathing, 80%. You can go like nose, mouth. And then finally, the 100%, you can use mouth, big full breaths. If you're doing it right, each breath in and out, you're going to feel the tension pick up a little bit more. And so using your breathing to help drive that tension will give you even better results from doing this. But that's the idea with the ramping isometrics. So it's 30 seconds at 50%, 20 seconds at 80%, and then finally 10 seconds at 100% effort. And then we're going to move on to the next exercise, which is a lunge hold. So we're just going back to the timed hold. And so for this, you're going to get down into the bottom of your lunge position, and then bring your knee up off of the ground, and you're going to hold this position for, again, 30 to 90 seconds. So make sure that you do both sides with that one. So when we're done with that, we're going to do our a deadlift. Okay, so you're going to get your belt, you're going to stand on it, your narrow stance here, feet about hip width apart. And again, with the deadlift, I'm pushing my butt back. I pretend like there's a button on a wall behind me, and I'm trying to push my butt to touch that button, right? So I'm pushing my butt back, and when I can't push my butt back any further, that's where I stop. I don't want to keep coming down by just bending and my butt stays in the same place. My butt has to slide back to bring me down, or else I can't come down that far. So come down where you can with good form, bring it, pushing your butt back. And then from here, we're going to do a deadlift motion where we're trying to push our hips back over our feet. So squeezing the glutes, trying to use the hips to drive our center of gravity, our hips back over our feet. And again, the belt is going to be stopping us. And so we're going to do the ramping isometric here, where we're going to do 30 seconds at 50%, and then 20 seconds at 80%, and then finally 10 seconds at 100%, trying to break the belt. But again, make sure that you're maintaining good posture, good position. You can apply a lot of pressure, a lot of tension with these isometric exercises. As long as you're maintaining good position while you're doing it, it's very safe. So just make sure that you're not compromising your position in order to try to apply more pressure. It's about applying pressure in the right position rather than just applying pressure in any old way, right? So finally, we're going to take a look at a belted bridge. And this is one that's really important for us on the mats, because this bridge motion is something that we use all the time. And while deadlifts and stuff are good, doing bridges helps train that in a more specific way, which is what we need. Okay, so for this, you're going to have your belt set, curl your heels in towards your butt, keeping your heels in tight to your butt. Now you're going to take the belt and tie it around your hips like this, double knot. And if you do it right, when you drive your hips up, the belt's going to stop you short of lockout. Okay, so you may need to take up a little more slack. When you're doing this, you want to make sure you keep your heels curled in towards your butt. So pretend you're trying to finish an arm bar. And so you're curling your heels in while you're extending your hips up. So if you feel your feet pushing out away from you, then you're extending your knees as well, which is not what we want in this position. So curl the heels in and drive the hips up to do this motion. And again, you're really squeezing those glutes. We're going to do the ramping with that one as well. So again, the 30 at 50%, 20 seconds at 80%, and then your 10 seconds at 100% trying to break the belt. So that's the isometric portion. After that, we would move on to the movement skills. So again, I'm going to show you some mace exercises that I like, but this is where you can insert whatever training tool you have or like. So you can use kettlebells, you can use dumbbells, you can use barbells. This is just where your movement-based exercises would come in. And so the first one we're going to look at with the Steel Mace is called a barbarian squat. And so you're going to hold the mace in front of you like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pullover. So I bring the mace over my head. I have the mace pointing straight down to the ground here with my hands in close to my head. I'm not pushing it away here. And then I use my elbows to drive my hands back to the start position. After I do that, I do a squat. So I squat down till my elbows touch the inside of my knees, and then I come back up. Okay, and then I do a pullover. Then I do my squat. I'm trying to maintain a vertical mace and a vertical torso. So as I come down, I don't want to feel like my face is getting close to the mace. I'm trying to keep my face away from the mace and keeping that upright torso. So I do pull over and squat. Pull over and squat. So that's your barbarian squat. You're gonna do your reps, so I got here 5 to 10 reps with that. And then when you come around for the second set, you'll switch which hand is on top. So for me, I have the right hand on top first. So second set, I would do left hand on top. Your next exercise is your spear stabs. So you're gonna get your mace, pretend you got a spear here. You're gonna get set, basically like a grappler stance, stepping back, dropping your level. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stab and then bring it back in. And what I do is I use a weight shift. So I have a little bit more weight on my back foot, and then I shift that weight to the front foot, right? So it's this weight shift. As I shift, that's where I get the spear stab from, and then I shift my weight back to pull it back. So I do this motion, forward and back, I just add the spear stab into it. Okay, so you're gonna do your 5 to 10 reps, and then do both sides with that one each time. So you'll do 5 to 10 on one side, and then switch. So you're on the other side, do 5 to 10, and then you'll move on to the next exercise, which is our 3-way press. And so for this, you're gonna hold the mace like this, and I'm gonna press it first in front of me, just straight in front, okay? Then I'm gonna push out at like a 45, and then I'm gonna push straight out to the side. That's 1 rep. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you're gonna do 3 to 5 reps of that, and then do your other side as well. And you're gonna repeat this circuit 2 times. And then finally, we're gonna get into our metabolic skills. So this is where the CO2 tolerance training comes in. You can also do regular intervals, but again, I feel that the CO2 tolerance, which CO2 is what triggers that breathless feeling, having more CO2 in the system allows you to better oxygenate the muscles. Again, I covered a lot of this in the breathwork podcast, but the CO2 tolerance training tends to be a gap in most people's cardio, and so that's why I like to emphasize it. But for this one, I'm going to show you a basic CO2 tolerance workout. So I'm going to start out with a warm-up. What I'm going to do, you can do this running or walking. I'm just going to do it in place, right? So marching in place, I'm going to do a normal breath in through my nose, normal breath out through my nose, and a normal breath out just means a relaxed breath out. So in, out. Okay, so that's a normal breath out. I could like push more out. So a normal breath, a normal relaxed breath out tends to be about 80% exhale. Okay, so you'll still have a little bit of air in your lungs, but most of it is pushed out, or on that exhale. So you do a normal breath in, out. You're going to pinch your nose and hold for 10 to 20 paces. When you're done, you stop. Normal nose breathing for 30 seconds to a minute. It should be easy to recover. You should feel a little bit of stress, moderate air hunger, but we're not looking for the strong ones yet, right? So we're doing this, 3 to 5 times, and then we're going to get into the strong breath holds. And so with this one, we're going to do the same thing: normal breath in, normal breath out. But then we're going to pick up the pace and start really again, if you were doing this, you'd start jogging and then running. I'm going to start running in place, and you're going to push yourself hard until you feel a very strong air hunger, need to breathe. And then you're going to stop, and you're going to do 6 flicker breaths. Because what we want to do is drive those CO2 levels even a little higher. So by doing just these little flicker breaths, so we just do a little bit of air in and out through the nose, right? So if a normal breath is in, out, these are like, okay, so, and again, this is just enough to kind of get things calmed down a little bit. You should be trying to relax into that suffocation, training your brain to react to this stressful situation in a different way. Remember, part of jiu-jitsu is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and this will help you with that element, right? So, but you're just doing these 6 flicker breaths, and then you do normal nose breathing for a minute to recover. You can use a pulse oximeter, the little things you wear on your finger that show what your blood oxygen levels are. And what you're looking for is to drive that blood oxygen level to 85% or lower with your breath hold. So as long as you're getting that, then you're getting the internal metabolic environment that we're looking for to trigger the changes that we're looking for. And so, again, just I would do, start going, normal breath in, out, hold. Okay, so it can be, if you can't control your breathing, then you push too hard. You don't have to push that hard to get what we're looking for. So again, you're just looking to get a strong breath hold, not an extreme breath hold. And so you should be able to control your breathing. It should be stressful and a little difficult, but should be able to be controlled. So you're looking to do that 5 times. You can just go for the breath hold, not worry about how many paces you're doing. You can count how many paces you do on the first hold and try and get a little further each time to challenge yourself. Either way is fine. As long as you're triggering that blood oxygen level drop and the CO2 level rise, then we're getting what we're looking for. So after you've done the 5 reps of that, that's it with the CO2 tolerance workout. At this point, I would do something to start the recovery process, some sort of mobility work or breath work to start, again, triggering the rest and relax side of things, because that's where we're actually going to see the results from our workout. But that would be the meat and potatoes of how I would put together a workout using these different training tools and methods. So the Isometrics for tension skills, the Steel Mace for the movement skills, the leverage-based tension that you get from that being more specific to what we need on the mats, and then finally your metabolic skills where we're working on our CO2 tolerance workout. And so that's how I put those things together. Just an example, so you guys can follow this workout, give it a shot, do it a couple times a week and see how you feel with it. Again, you can, if you don't have a Steel Mace, you can insert a few kettlebell or barbell or dumbbell exercises, whichever ones you really like. But just remember, you don't have to go really hard on it. You're working on your movement skill, and so you don't need to go really over like 80% effort with that, because you're getting the strength stuff, the tension skills from the Isometrics, and so that'll help keep you from getting hurt by pushing yourself too hard on the movement stuff. The movement stuff is fine. It's just when we push it too hard is when we open ourselves up to getting injured, which is not what we want. So, but anyway, so there you go. Some things for you to think about. Like I said, you can try this workout or think of different ways that you can apply these concepts to your workout. But let me know what you think. Give it a shot. See how it affects your training and your rolling. And yeah, give me some feedback. I'd love to hear the feedback on this. But again, you can find out more at bjjstrengthtraining.com. Be sure to check out the BJJ Strength Training podcast as well. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I'll talk to everybody next time.